Right, well, as promised, we've got the latest version of the T3000, and this has been sent to me like the T800 has, to review from Thunderpole. They obviously trust their product because they know perfectly well that if something is no good, I might diplomatically say it's no good. Better switch the test set on, we're not going to get anywhere. So the T800 they sent, which is obviously lower down in the range, the sensitivity was absolutely incredible. Remember when I say anything in watts here, that the test set in use has a filter, so that when I say something is 4 watts, it means it's 4 watts on the frequency we're looking for, so it's not reading the interference. So most power meters are going to see some interference, and the cheaper you go with power meters, the more interference they're going to read. And this is how you get the good buddies with the 7 watt Amstrads, when in actual fact they're doing 2.8 watts and the rest of it is on another band altogether. So there are limited number of adjustments on this. Unlike the T800, which has no adjustments as it comes, this does have some adjustments, and they're hoping that they've got the performance just about optimum on this, so that they don't have to come to people like me to be optimized. And I've said for years that out of all the new sets I see, it's the Thunderpole sets that you can take out of the box and they will actually work. So we're going to see whether this is even nearer to maximum optimization. I'm not here to review the product, we've seen this time and time again. It was nice to see a bit of feedback on the T800, and somebody did say to me that they bought the T800 on the back of what I had to say, and they do indeed find it to work great. I'm better take the instruction book out because I probably need it. I remember rightly, they do come set up on UK use, so that's good. So on this one we've got a detachable power lead. There's this BS going around about these things overheating. Well, that would be news to me, unless you've got that fitted in a console with a heater behind it, and I just can't see, because the PA in this is capable of more than 4 watts. So when used as a CB radio, which is what it is at 4 watts, how can it be overheating with a heatsink that size? So I've been seeing these for optimization now since they came out, the very first version. This we can see is 23 date code, and it's serial number 43 of February. So this is factory fresh as they say it is. We also see it's 24 volts as well as 12. So we will plug it in. I'm not set up for cigarette lighter plugs. So we have to crocodile clip lead the cigarette lighter plug. So we've got to hope it stays put. Oh, I've got another lead, haven't I, somewhere? Right, so we're at 13.8 volts. Power the setup. UK channel 2. Plug the mic in. You can change the colour of the screen on this, which we will do. So, UK, channel 20, exactly where I want it to be. So I will switch the gear on and let's see what we get. For a start, we will start, I think it's the 9s today, but I really don't care. Thunderpole, T3000, 2302000043. Here goes. Picture in picture on. In the wrong position. All we need to do now is plug in the aerial. Well, on our test set this is doing 3 watts. Deviation, and we'll come back for verification because this deviation meter can be inaccurate. Wallow, and I think that's what it's playing at right now. We'll come back to that because that would be unfair. So if I say it's doing 3 watts, it's probably doing 3.4 watts. Let's see what it's doing on the other bands. So EU, channel 1. And this is what I'm going to do. I'll put it on EU channel 1, then I'll put it on UK 01 and then UK 40, so that we're going across the 80 channels in a fair way. So we've just come out with 3 watts on CPT. Yeah, it's 3.2 watts, and on UK channel 40, I'm going to go change the band. I'll just see what it is on AM. It's about 3. UK channel 40, it's 2.8 watts. So if we go to, I'm going to go to channel 20 UK. Actually, I've already made a mistake, haven't I? Because I want this on channel 1 to test the power. It is 3 watts there. So it doesn't have low power because it's not a UK 2781 set. Current consumption is actually 1.7 amps. Because remember, these are CPU controlled. We're not going to be doing the VCO. We're going to look at the sensitivity, and I'm sure it's fantastic. I'll do that. I'll do that on channel 1 because it's in the centre of the 80 channels. I'll just make sure the signal generator equals the same as transmit. Right. Plug the cyanide meter in. .65 microvolts. This is channel 1 UK. Check we're in the right scale. We're in the right scale. C for 10. And for 20 if it'll do it. Always take 20 with a pinch of salt. It's only about noise, all this. So there won't be any adjustments. Let's see where the squelch is. So it's a bit harsh for me, but that doesn't matter at all. It's just for me, isn't it? It's not a hard and fast rule. So I've got 3 millivolts for squelch. Let's get that a more accurate reading. No, it is 3. It is 3. It's a threshold. This is the important one. Set squelch. Signal generator back on. 0.75. It hangs in there to 0.4 to 0.55, so it's got good hysteresis. In other words, it tracks the signal you're listening to without chopping. So that's good. I can't remember. Do these things have a meter on them? Right. All I can say is that says that's full scale deflection, and the S meter, S9 is supposed to be 100 microvolts, and this set is for S9 is 300 microvolts. You could say it was on the lazy side. Good. So I'm going to leave this half an hour because I don't want to take a frequency reading until the set's warmed up. Right, we'll have a look at the frequency. I've come back to this now an hour later. If I can find my remote control for the switcher. 79111. Yes, that's about that's well within. Just see if deviation's changed. Wallow, 1 2, wallow, 1 2, wallow. I think my machine's playing silly. What's this? Right, I'm going to open this up and we'll just pop that power up a tad. I've said before and I'll say it again, out of all the current models, if I hadn't already got those Midland 78 plus multis in the cars with 3 of them, and they're all as bad as each other, they all do 3.6 watts and they all diphthong on transmit whilst the VCO does its business, and they all stop transmitting when it's cold and all that, but that's just the way they are. But you see, we've been doing these videos and that's the same, we've got to use the same radio all the time. What I was going to say is the only set that I would replace those with is the Thunderpole 3000. Right, so lift up the bonnet. I just need to recover these buttons out, so it's going to dazzle me when it switches on. put it back onto the main meter. There we have 4. I'll just go into the other band. Still 4. Just go down to channel 1. It's 4.05. Back to UK channels. Right, channel 40. Also 4 watts, that's really good. That's much more balanced than it was before I adjusted that, so I don't understand why that is. Right, so that's that done. I'm going to check deviation. We're going to go on to AM and just make sure it's doing what it should on there. So we don't normally mess with AM, but we will do. There we go. So I've changed it now to AM on this. This isn't dodgy on this test set, not like the FM bit. So I just need to tune that in, and we need to check that full scale deflection on this test set is 90%. So we don't want it to exceed 93%. So when I was in business radio at Nottingham Radio, I said to the boss, what's acceptable for minimum AM modulation? Because a lot of the two-way radio schemes on smaller businesses like taxis and that were AM VHF high band. So it's still like 170 megs, but on an AM system. And he says, well, 45% is the lowest acceptable amount. Wallow, 1 2 1 2 wallow. That could be a little on the high side, but I'm not going to adjust it. But it's certainly not squedging or anything like that. So I'm going to put down AM mod around 95%. I may as well check FM there while we're at it. 1 2 1. I'm still in AM, aren't I? Try again. 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. So I'm going to go into UK. We'll get channel 20 up, and I'll just plug this into the other test set, and either verify it's right. So we get a proper figure. So now I'm plugged into the test set behind me, which is a Quartz Lock 282A. Wow. It's 2.1. So you know what? That is pretty where you want it to be. I'm just going to do a tiny little adjustment because I can. But how I'm going to see that meter on a different bench and twiddle this at the same time is anybody's guess. I'll get poised. There we are, we're done. So I've just brought it up to 2.2 from 2.1. So that is good. Nobody's going to say, oh, you're quiet on that. So I've got 2.1 to 2.4, and I've now got 2.2 to 2.5. And you know, I could try this on another 3 test sets, and it might give me a different result. So that's fine. So that's really nice. So I'm not going to adjust the AM ones, which are on this subboard. I don't think we can adjust the frequency on this. I'm just going to have a look at my notes. I'm going to pause the video. What I was just checking was with the circuit diagram. I wanted to just make sure that the I was correct that the reference oscillator is non-adjustable on this, and I'm right, it is non-adjustable. And you know, there are quite a few sets out there which are like that, starting with the Uniden 100, 200, Realistic 2000, etc., which use and share that quite good Uniden chassis. So that isn't a poo-poo type of thing. It is the way it is, and it's well on frequency. We've not had any come in from the earliest generation of these, which have been having to have crystals changed, so that's good. But I just wanted to verify, and I have done. So there we are. So that is working as I think it should. Oh, this goes back together. Some of the early ones were a swine. I don't think the early one was 24 volt capable. I may be totally wrong. I really don't need to be looking up a instruction book from 6 years ago, because we're talking about this one. When these came out, we actually used one of these as a base station here for about 18 months, and eventually we but I'm going to have to pack that away. It was just so convenient not having to reprogram it to go into CEPT, you know, because when we're testing sets and wanting to test AM, I have no idea why anybody would want to use AM, but nevertheless we have customers request that I double check that these things are set right. There you are. We do. So there isn't a before and after on receipt because nothing is adjustable. So that's what we've got. Now I've just popped the power up that a little bit. It's now drawing 2 amps. Good. Well, we're done. We'll turn picture off. And I'll just plug in the roof aerial. We haven't got time to do it on the air test today. I really wanted to get on with the organ. Right, so here we are on UK set of channels. Let's see. What's here? 19 Roger. No. Wonder what scan rate's like on this. Oh, it doesn't work like that, does it? It's long press. We put it into auto-squelch for that. Bit of SSB activity that shouldn't be there. Take it out to scan. Change mode. See what racket's on here. That's why I can't use it, because it's full of foreign. See if any of that's on AM. There you are, he is. He's not doing 4 watts. Well, there you have it. Works nicely. I did just pop the power up a little tiny bit because I can do, and you know what, it doesn't make much difference. People sometimes get a bit stuck on this one. We've done plenty of tests over the years. I've done tests on sets that do 500 milliwatts, and we've ended up getting 6 miles on them. But of course, you're not going to get 6 miles on a 500 milliwatt set when there's other radio traffic. But really, the difference between 2 and 4 watts isn't double. Don't think it is, and it's in decibels. And it's the way this works. I've said this before. If you had I'm going to be old-fashioned because I'm 60. If you had a record player and your amplifier was 2 watts, and then you changed that amplifier for one that's 4 watts, you would notice some difference, but not a lot. Now, if you had an amplifier that was 3.5 watts, and you changed it for one that's 4 watts, you wouldn't notice any difference. And it goes the same with communications. So the difference between 3.5 and 4 watts. And I've done this chart. I've done these charts with you before in 2014, working the range out using the nomographs that I've got. And you know, you're talking about yards, if anything. So you know, don't need to panic about that. But there's people out there, as we know. I mean, as a radio amateur, I've got a 400 watt license, and I don't think I've got anything that is over 50 watts. And my interests are at UHF anyway. So as far as the radio ham goes, I'm mostly on 77s, bit on 23s.
Hey, Rob, my friend, do you understand?
Bit on 20. What's that doing on UK FM? I think we'll pop that up to Mega Chippie channel ready for tomorrow. You know, so I do some on 4 meters, and I can do 50 watts on 4 meters with an ex-business radio that I've got. No, I'm lying. I can do 45 watts, and I've had 60 odd miles on that, and I think that's great. But that's the kind of thing that floats my boat. It doesn't float my boat to talk to the other end of the world on 1,000,000 watts, which I'm not authorised to do. So there you go. Nice radio. Thank you, Thunderpole. It's nice to see the latest version of this, and as I said before, it's the only set that I would say, yeah, we'd put that in the car rather than the Midland 78 Plus Multi. We're not going to, because it would spoil the continuity of what we do with the videos. I might put it in the van though, because that's not important that we have the continuity. Thanks for watching.